In this session, we're going to discuss services within the enterprise. So from my enterprise setup, we're going to go to work order setup and go to services. So what you'll find is in each category, typically you're going to have at least one or more service packages. These are the actual repair packages that go on the work orders themselves. Every category in here will have typically some specific type packages, such as lube oil filter general service. You'll typically have a diagnose, and typically you'll also have some type of a general maintenance. So each category will at least have that. Now, depending on what you're doing, you may have just a few service packages, you may have several. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how I can actually edit these service packages and kind of customize them for what you want to use in your system. And we're going to also show you how to duplicate and how to create one from scratch. So let's take a blended oil change and let's talk about how it works. So I'm going to just double click. Double click is the same thing as me right clicking and hit edit, or going up to the top and hitting edit. So you can add, edit, and delete at the top, or right click and do the same and duplicate. All of these service packages are going to have what we call a title and a brief or generic description. That's called the header. So the header is the title. The nice thing about a title is you can search in your work orders for a title. So if you're looking for a specific package, you can type in a word or some of the words of the title and search for it. All of these titles that we have in our template are bolded. Now how we do this is we just simply highlight, right click, and we bold them. Just kind of makes them stand out on the work orders a little bit better. This is a generic description. You can add, edit, delete, whatever you want in these descriptions. Now, since this is an oil change, typically what we're going to do here is we're going to say, well, if we're going to do an oil change, what are the main components? We're going to have a labor line, a line for oil, and a line for filter. So if I look across the top here, I can edit the header. I can actually add a footer that goes down below at the bottom of the package. I can add labor lines, add material lines, add sublet lines, edit a line, and delete a line. You can also move a package from one category to another. To do that, you would go over here to Service Category, open the drop down, and then you can actually move it from one category to another. So if I wanted to move this, I just simply click on Sublet, hit save, and it'll move it over. So just because they are in a specific category does not mean you can't move them around. You also have a code box. This code can be used for several things. You can put a code in here if you want to use it to search for it. So I can actually code this oil change. When my service writer writes a work order, they can search for it by code. Okay. And also code can be used in several of your rules, depending on the rules that you're setting up, such as like maybe a margin matrix or something like that. You can set it up by code. Do not show pricing for each line. What this will do is this will actually hide the line pricing at the time of invoicing. Now, in a work order or an authorization, you're always going to see everything here. But when I actually print the invoice for the customer or email it, then it will hide these lines. Duration is typically used if I do not have a labor time already in here. I can put a labor time, and if I create a work order, but I want to save it as a future appointment, if I have this job on here, it'll look at this duration to block that amount of time for the appointment. The labor line itself will start off with 0. If I double click and open it up, I have the capability of changing it. So here's our description box. It's just labor. Lookup required would be, do I want to force the system to prompt me to go look it up in the labor guide? Now, if I have a lookup required box checked, then the criteria needs to be in here so it knows what to go look for. Your template is already going to be set up with all the criteria, but that's not to say you can't come in here and change it. So if I wanted to change this lookup, I can go to action, I can delete it, and I can go back and add what I want to search with, what wording. So if you're finding that you're looking up a labor and you're not finding it properly in the labor guide, you can come back here and change it. So again, this is just a prompt for the service advisor on the work order to go look up the labor in the labor guide. Price type. So here we have several variations. We have none, we have a standard rate, a fleet rate, a government rate, a fixed rate, and a fixed total. All none means is when I put this service package on a work order, it's going to use whatever the default is for that particular customer or vehicle. If I want, I can preset up a rate here. So this is just going to automatically come up at the standard rate or any of the other rates that we have programmed in. So these are all programmed in at the enterprise. A fixed rate would be a rate per hour I want to enter that is not already set up. So if I want to have a specific rate here, I can. If I say, well, I'm only at $59 an hour. So that overrides all of these. A fixed total typically gives you what do you want to charge for a total and allows you to alter the time. So I can have a fixed total of $1 amount and a completely separate time here. This lets you control both. I can pay a technician 5 hours and charge a customer $29.99 or vice versa. So if you want to preset up something, you can certainly do that back here. Or you can leave it at none and set it at the location. You can preset a discount here. So for example, let's say I'm going to charge a 0.3 at my standard rate, but I'm going to give $5 off. So if I go to discount, I can say I want to do it as a percentage or a fixed amount. And I just put in the amount. And what it will do is on the work order itself, it will show it as a separate discount. And that's how it will look. So let's go zero that out. Tech hours are the hours that the technicians do get paid versus what you're billing. But the technicians get paid versus what you're billing. You can't have two separate ones. I might say, well, I'm going to bill a 0.3 but pay a tech a 0.4. Or 5. On the back, you're going to have two more tabs back here. You have tags. So if you have any tags set up for labor lines, you can attach your tags back here. See here I have a fleet matrix set up by labor. So if I select that, it adds the tag. So when I use this package, it will automatically apply that tag. Formatting allows you to override the way things look. Let's get out of here just a second. Let's refresh this. So let's say when I do this, do not show line pricing, I don't want to show the hours also. I just want to say labor. So I open the line, go to format. We're going to blank out the hours. See, now I've overrode the actual settings to what gets printed. So this is going to be the way it's going to look when it prints. So you do have control over the way things are going to be presented on the invoice. On the part lines, you're going to have a little bit more detail there. So let's take this oil filter, for example. Here's our description of our part. Now there is no part number, no manufacturer, because at this point we don't know what oil filter we're going to use. We do have the lookup required box already checked. And this is our definition. Down below here, you're going to see this is the criteria that it's going to use depending on the type of catalog we're using on what it searches for. Now, if you haven't watched the tours on definitions, I would advise you do that. We do go into a lot of detail on how definitions work, and it would be worthwhile watching those so you really get a good understanding of them. It'll show unit cost, MSRP, price level none. What does that mean? Price level none means when I put this part onto the work order, if I pull it from inventory, it'll use whatever price level that customer is set at. Or if we had to order it in and receive it in, then it would do the markup depending on how your matrix is set up. That's all that means. Now you can override that by using a fixed rate or fixed total. Fixed rate would be per unit, and if there is a core. So if I say I want to charge $8 per unit, I can do that. So what that means is it's going to fix the price at $8, and it does not matter what the cost is going to be and what it should be selling for. We're fixing it, we're setting it per unit. If I do a fixed total, then that's going to go here under total. So it doesn't matter how many units I put on, no matter what the selling price is, it's only going to charge that fixed amount. Now these can be overridden on the work order itself if your service advisor remembers to do that. The third option you have here is I can put a minimum charge. Now what a minimum charge does is just simply guarantees I won't charge anything less than a certain amount. So if I say, well, I want to charge a minimum of $8, I will never charge less than $8 for a filter. If I put a $4 filter on or a $5 filter, it'll automatically raise it to $8. If I put a $20 filter on, it's going to raise the price to $20. Here it will show your total cost, what your gross profit margin is, if there's core, and again, you can even preset a discount if you want. Source, where's the part coming from? We're going to come back to this in a little bit. We're going to set up one from inventory. Tags, if you have any preset up tags, maybe we have environmental disposal charge or something. See, I can pre-tag it here. So when I put it on the work order, it automatically does the charge. Now, if I don't want it, click it, hit the black X. And you can format, so you can override the way it's looking when it prints out. So let's say on this oil change, I want to have a minimum charge of $8. Now, at this point in time, I have no idea what filter I'm going to use. I just know I don't want to charge less than that. We go to our oil. So again, here's our definition. Now, what if I want to set a package up where I want to pull a very specific part from inventory? A very specific part from inventory. So what you have the capability of doing here is clicking on this green and white box and searching the inventory. So let's say I want to make one that's a 520. I'm going to go look for my part 520. There's my 520 blend. Now remember, this is the enterprise inventory. So I'm not going to have any in stock at enterprise. Okay. I'm going to draw. So what I'm doing here is I'm telling the system whenever this service package is used on a work order to automatically draw this specific part from inventory. And we can even lock it to the enterprise inventory. In other words, they can't switch it around if they go enter a 520 at a location. Now this is set up as a 5-liter oil change, so it's just automatically going to draw 5 liters. And that will change depending on the vehicle you're working on, the quantity. So by setting it this way, I know, for example, what I'm going to charge the customer for the labor. What am I paying my technician? I know I'm going to draw this specific oil. We know we're going to get a minimum of $8 for an oil filter. Now, if I even want to change the title, I can. So if I go to my header, I might say this is a blended oil 5W20. Hit save. And now I have a package. So what happens in here is a lot of times you're going to have a package set up that's pretty close to what you want or exactly what you want, and you want to make another package that's similar. So the way to do that is to actually click on it, right click, and duplicate. So I might want to have a 520 and I might want to have a 530. So you can duplicate, make changes. You can edit your header, edit your oils, whatever you want to do. Save it, then you have another package. So you can do this over and over. Some of the other features that are in these service packages are going to be the related items. So don't forget, if you have something related to this, then it's going to automatically duplicate that relationship. So here I have this blended oil change with no related items. Well, maybe I want to have an oil change inspection that I want to also put on the work order. So I go up here, I go add inspection, and now we'll go search for inspections. Here's my oil change courtesy inspection. Click it, hit OK. I can recommend that it goes on the work order. I can require. I would not replace. Let's say I'm going to recommend it. So by having that related component on here, that means whenever we add this service package to a work order, it will automatically pop up and say, do you also want to do the courtesy inspection? Triggers are going to be the reminders. In the setup section of the training videos, there's a section on reminders. But basically, this is how it connects it to the reminder item. Now, if I did not have a reminder, let's go delete this real quick. I need to make sure that's added to the reminders if I want to track it. So I go to add a reminder item. So I'm going to go look for oil change reminder. There it is. I just simply click, hit OK. And now we've connected this service package to that reminder item. And again, on locations, by default, it always goes to all locations unless you make an exception. That's the other nice thing about duplicating in here. Whenever I duplicate, it's not only duplicating this, it's duplicating everything else along with it. Let's go to the tires and let's go duplicate a package and set it up. So I'm going to go to tires and wheels. You'll notice when I'm looking at this, I have a mountain stall and balance. So I have a 1 tire, a 2 tire, a 3 tire, and a 4 tire. Well, what if I want one for 6 tires? I do not have to go create it from scratch. I can just simply click, right click, duplicate. Again, it's going to pull up everything. I can change my labor. I can go to the tire. Now, I don't know which tire I'm doing, but I can certainly go in here and say, well, let's go make it 6. I can change my header. And I can even change related or triggers or whatever. See? So I might want to go tie this to my trigger for rotating. So that's connecting it to the reminders. I may want to add a tire and wheel inspection. So again, you can customize this however you want. And then once I hit save, I have a whole nother package. A whole lot easier to do it this way than it is to build from scratch. So I have a third category here called Sublet. There are no service packages in here. What that means is I have to have at least one service package in order to utilize this category. I must have at least one service package. So we're going to go up to the top and hit add. This is going to go into the sublet section. We're going to go edit the title. I might want to make a service package for tows, a vehicle tow in or something like that. So we'll just call it that, vehicle tow in. Oops, make that a capital I. Now, we're going to bold it. Again, if you want to put a little generic description in here, you certainly can. Now, sublet is not a labor line and it's not a material line. So we're going to delete it. This is actually a sublet line. Sublet lines are set up a little bit different from a part line or a labor line. Here I could put a description in. I have something like tow charge. If I want, I can even preset up a quantity. I can even preset up a price if I wanted to, but that may vary depending on the tow and who's doing it. I can add tags if needed. I can even format if needed. So here we took one and we just built it straight from scratch. Again, I can add related items, such as inspections or services, triggers, and it'll always go out to all locations unless you change that. Then once I make it and I'm happy with it, I just hit save and now I have a new package. So you can edit the existing packages, you can duplicate the existing packages, do what you want with them, and you can create from scratch. So let's go over to the location and see how these look. So here we are at the location, this is location number 2 in the oil lube service. You'll notice, see here, we have our blended 520 oil change package. And again, if you look to the far right, you'll see this is coming from the Enterprise and it's synchronized. So if I double click and open that up, see there's our labor already set, the specific oil that it's going to pull from inventory, and the oil filter with the minimum charge. If we go down to our tires, we'll look for our 6 tires. Here's our 6 tire package. And again, synchronized, the Enterprise. And then our Sublet. So the nice thing about it is you're only making it in one place and you're sending it out to any or all locations that you specify. So what's going to happen at a location once in a while is you may need to change something for a specific location. So what if I want to have a different oil change? I want to change this. Now remember, we locked the inventory to the Enterprise. So that's going to be kind of hard to do. So your best bet is to take a different one, open it, and override. So once I override, I can change the description, the labor, and the materials. But I still cannot change the title. So to truly make a completely different one with a different title and everything, the way to do this, so let's not override this, is to duplicate it. Now I can change anything. So by duplicating, it enables you to change the title. So now I can come here and change it to what I want. And then I can set up the labor and the materials. Add whatever I need to do, delete, edit. I can do anything I want. So let's just call this the 5W30. Now you'll notice whenever you do this, this is going to have a white background instead of the gray background. So what that means is it is not from the Enterprise. That's going to be location specific. Now at that location, if you want to do this, then you would go set it up however you want. You can go adjust your labor lines, your pricing. If you have a specific oil at this location you want to pull, you certainly can, or a specific filter. You can also go set minimum charge, whatever you want to do. Just remember, whenever you do this, it's only going to be available at this location. So that's how to set up service packages and the details in them, how you can modify them, how you can duplicate them, how you can create new ones. At the location, how you can also make duplicates and create new ones there, or just override and modify at that point.